Alright, hello everybody, my name is Not Quite College, coach of your Toronto Pug Rock, and I'm here to go over the team changes that I am making for week 3 of the Wave Crash Battlers. So, first of all, thank you all so much for the support on my first video. I've not seen anything on my second video yet, but it's great to see people coming to the channel. If you have not seen a lot of these members, it's because, you know, they haven't been here, and if you're interested as to why I drafted them in the first place and what my hopes were for them, you can check out my draft analysis, which was a couple of weeks ago. And while you're checking out my channel, make sure to subscribe, and while you're on this video, leave a like and comment who you're most excited of my new mons that you're to see in the upcoming weeks, and who you're most disappointed I am dropping, and who you would have liked to see in the first 2 weeks. So first of all, Nolan Grayson here, my Terapagos. I know I did not bring Terapagos either week. It is a really potent setup sweeper, thanks to like Shell, where if you're at full HP, it's basically better multi-scale because you're always going to live the hit, and I can set up really easily. Problem is, there are often a lot of my other guys wanted to set up, and I really wanted this thing to be defensive. I was looking at the defense stats and how good this thing could possibly be with like Toxic Protect and Rapid Spin and like Stealth Rocks, and how good this thing could be. But the problem is, without access to recover, this thing just struggles to really effectively be a tank. And I just needed something bulkier on my higher end Pokemon. I really wanted this thing to Rapid Spin, but it couldn't, so I was stuck bringing Bramble every week. And I just didn't want to get like a mid-tier spinner, because once again, I didn't want to have to bring like a certain mid-tier every week. If I wanted to bring a, you know, spinner every week if I needed to, I would rather get a higher tier mon. I could run boot spam, but that was also kind of limiting on my team when I had some guys that sometimes I needed Scarf or I needed like Rabombi. I just felt my team was definitely a little limited, and this thing was probably one of the main causes of it, because I just drafted it incorrectly for the wrong purposes. So because of that, I ended up dropping it. Sad I never got to bring it, because, you know, it's a cool Pokemon that I, you didn't really get to use in OU, and I will be happy to draft it in a separate season, but it also just doesn't really fit my type of play style. But yeah, it was cool, but I was never really able to bring it. It just always struggled, and it was always beat up by Bramblegast. Second video on a, no, sorry about that. Oops, wrong thing. But yeah, so next up we're talking Crocodile. Crocodile did come to last week because I wanted a ground type Pokemon, and this thing is pretty solid, but my team already had some speed tiering problems, and I needed something a little faster. I need something a little more reliable in terms of damage output. And I didn't want to, this thing is often like Scarfed. I didn't want to have another mon where I had to run Scarf every week. But yeah, so Stealth Rocks, stuff like Taunt, it had good support moves. And Close Combat, this thing really did have potential, and maybe I just was, once again, not using it correctly, but I thought there were overall mons that fit the team a little better. This thing's also kind of frail, especially on the special side, and my team just struggled with bulk a lot. I had a really big problem with bulk, so I wanted to drop this thing, and as we'll see, one of the first ones that I came up with to replace Terapagos was another dark type, so I was able to prevent a little bit of type overlap and add a type to the team that I didn't have. Next up, we have Salazzle here. So I drafted Salazzle because it was probably the best grounded poison type that didn't interrupt my draft plans, and it gave me a fire at the time. I'm realizing that the fire type probably wasn't as necessary as probably getting a better grounded poison, because I couldn't really bring this to any week. It allowed my week 1 opponent to bring Toxic Spikes and kind of forced me to change my teams in ways that I didn't really want to. Because Toxic Spikes ended up becoming such a problem, but I just couldn't bring this because it was so frail, and its frailty was another mon where it just was not bulky, and this thing could not really come to many matchups. It's not a better special attacker than my other guys. It doesn't do anything better, and it was just a problem because Toxic Spikes and Toxic, this did not clear Toxics off the field. Half the time I wanted to run an air balloon, and I was like, well, I can't because I need to get rid of T-Spikes. It kind of loses its purpose. So Romanov here, our Salazzle really just did not have any fit on this team whatsoever. Then we got Enpesto or Espeon. The problem with this thing is a problem that I said in my draft analysis. I said, seemingly this thing overlaps with Latios because of Terra. It shouldn't. I was very wrong about that. This thing has the exact same special attack, exact same speed as Latios. It is a offensive psychic type, and while I can change the typing and everything, it is just worse Latios, and there's really no other way to put it. This thing just did not have any reason to ever come over Latios. Latios could often be bulkier and live a hit. I could often more rely on just certain sets. U-turn, or sorry, flip turn is a more reliable pivot, and it just has like more reliable stabs. Like this thing can run Psychic or whatever coverage move I give it via the Terra type for stabs, but with Latios I could give it Luster Purge and Draco Meteor and call it a day, and that is just such a strong combination, especially with something like Flip Turn. If I outspeed and I'm able to pivot, I can just Luster Purge, lower your speed def, guarantee that kill with like a Draco, and then I Flip Turn out, and it's just so very strong. So this thing could just pretty much never come, and it's hard to have a mon that you never come. And lastly, our little 1-point Pikachu here. We got Mayday, was never able to hit the battle as well. I have another electric type in Magnezone. This thing was really there if I needed a fast electric type for a matchup. It was kind of a very niche scenario, and also to fill in that 1-point slot. But I found a better way of arranging my points to get an overall better set of mons, and Pikachu was never probably going to come anyways, so that's going to be the end of this team. So that is the mons that I'm dropping. Now, the mons that we're adding right here, this is a team we're adding. So first of all, let's go over Landorus I. I'm very excited about running Landorus I. It's a strong mixed attacker, and it has a bunch of different coverage options on both sides, more so on the special side, but we do have some physical options such as Outrage and Hammer Arm and Brick Break. And it does not have a very good flying move, unfortunately, but that is alright. It's access to Stealth Rock. It is U-turn and Taunt, so it's very similar to Crocodile, but better offensively for sure. And it's a little bulkier, and it can pivot, and it's just a lot stronger than Crocodile. It's a little bulkier. I'm not really going to run it bulky, but I can rely on its live hits that aren't Ice type, but I could run Yachi. And the best part about Landorus I is Sheer Force. So Sheer Force is banned in certain leagues, banned in other leagues. I checked, double checked, triple checked my doc, and I had one of my friends who is a mocker who is in the server also checked the doc, and yeah, just we did not see anything banning Sheer Force. So I'm going to be running Sheer Force Landorus I quite a few times, and that's really strong. So Sheer Force, for those who don't know, your secondary effects have 1.3 times power, and it applies the effects, and when it like blocks the effects of a move, such as like could say Focus Blast here that can lower the target's speed F by 1, as soon as it overwrites that and gives the power buff, it also overwrites any additional effects such as the recoil from a Life Orb. I don't like running Life Orb because I don't like losing health. I'm very much based off my positioning and my health and how that's going to get me to win the end game, so I often don't run Life Orb just because I don't like it. But I'm able to run Life Orb and Landorus, which is nice because I love being able to switch my moves up, and that just gives me a whole new way of playing around with this Pokemon and Life Orb in general. So I am actually very excited to use Landorus I don't play too much Ubers, so I have never really gotten to use this thing as it is typically just banned to there, and you know, I'm someone who really didn't start playing until Gen 7, so this thing's pretty much always been banned. And yeah, I'm just really excited to get to use something like Lando, and I hope you guys are excited to watch me use it. We're gonna have fun with this. That's going to be the goal. Next up, we got Liquid here, our Mandibuzz, and yeah, so this is what I ended up dropping for Terapagos. Now, I know the downgrade from Terapagos to Mandibuzz seems like such a big downgrade, but in reality, it's not. First of all, bulk-wise, 105, 95, 110, it's just about as good. But we get access to reliable recovery in Roost. We get access to Toxic Still, U-turn, we get pivot options, we get knockoff to remove items, defog, it is good at hazard removal, and this thing does not need the setup sweep. This thing is a more reliable defender. It even has stuff like Iron Defense, I believe. Yeah, to boost my Piss Def even further. And that's just such a strong ability to have, right? Like, this thing is a much better Bulkmon than Terapagos, and it is a defogger, which is nice. I don't have to rely on Rapid Spin every week, which means in scenarios where spin blockers can be annoying, I can now ignore that unless you are a Golden Go. And generally, you know, I do have webs, so defog can be a conflict of interest, but I don't need to bring webs every week, and I can also just kind of plan around when I set up my webs if I need to. Plus, my team's bulkier, so I don't always need to outspeed. I can run more bulk and lift hits. But yeah, no, webs are definitely still something I can bring. There are matches where I could also just run boot spam and then just set up webs. So Mandibuzz, at first, you know, could seem like a conflict of interest, but no, I've done plenty of tests this time before, you know, I changed anything, and this thing is able to work on a team with Rabombi, work off a team with Rabombi, and overall just do a lot of different things. It has a few useful abilities here. And yeah, overall, I'm really liking Mandibuzz a lot for this team. So yeah, this is the type that also made me think about, I noticed Lando I. The reason why I didn't pick up Lando I at first, and why I ended up switching Crocodile off, I didn't realize Sheer Force was allowed. I saw it for the points it was only 13 points, and Lando T I think was 16. So I originally thought that Sheer Force was banned, and I wasn't super interested in it, but then I'm like, you know what, maybe Sand Force is good. And then I'm like, well, let me check, you know, maybe Sheer Force is legal. And I just missed it, and sure enough, I checked, and Sheer Force is seemingly legal. So yeah. Next up is Amoonguss. This is a better poison type. I originally didn't want to get it because I thought that the grass type would overlap with Brambleghast, but they have such vastly different roles. I could even run both in 1 week. One of them is a little more offensive grass type. This one's a more defensive grass type, and one of them is a spin blocker slash spinner slash spiker, and this one is a regenerator guy. He's got Spore. I could put things to sleep completely. I think it's in the useless moves section now because sleep is banned in OU, but we do play conventional sleep clause in this league, so one mon gets slept and that's it. So I am able to actually use Spore as well as Toxic and Sunspore, so I get access to a myriad of different statuses as well as Hex. But you know, this thing's main thing is going to be Giga Drain, it's going to be Sludge Bomb, it's going to be Spore. I can Synthesis Recover, I can Leech Seed, Stall Protect. My bulk is solid. It's another bulky mon, which I didn't really have. It's a bulky grounded poison, which is a lot better. I can more reliably switch this thing and absorb 2 spikes, and then immediately switch it out with Regenerator to heal that all back. And then its nickname, I'm not doing it. I can't do it. I can't do it, guys. I'm not doing it. But yeah, this thing just gets access to a bunch of different useful moves. It fits the team. It helps remove toxic spikes, is a better bulk mon, and I am just really excited to use Amoonguss as a mon I've used a few times. Spore is always annoying, forces like Safety Goggles prep, and I'm hoping that this is a more fun mon to use versus my opponents. And then finally, we got Brunson here. Brunson is going to be our Pissimian. It's Nyx colors. You already know the deal. It's ballin'. This is a Terra Captain. So I have Terra Fighting, Terra Fairy, and Terra Ground on this thing. And it's actually got a base 120 attack stat, which is really strong. 80 speed's a little lackluster, but that's alright. We have webs to help, and this thing gets so many different coverage moves, guys. Close combat, I get Stab Earthquake, and I get Stab Terra Blast Fairy. To help defeat my opponents there. I get stuff like Bulk Up. I get stuff like I get stuff like Trailblaze. I get stuff like you know, Drain Punch, Gunk Shot, Rock Slide, Seed Bomb. Pretty much every coverage move you can really think of. This thing actually gets so very much, and it really allows this mon to handle a lot of my opponent's bulkier guys. It as a Terra Captain provides something to the team that I did not have with Espeon, and it is now a strong physical Terra Captain. I do have, you know, Paladin for the strong physical, but this is going to be like my second strong physical mon. I can run physical Lando, but it makes you have to worry about my team just that much more, and I still have my strong special attackers like Latios and Magnezone and Landorus on, you know, the days I want to run it special. You know, this thing definitely adds a lot to the team. I've seen Pissimian in other draft leagues put in a lot of work with Terra. It's always a very good Terra Captain. And it also gives us a fighting type. So I didn't actually have a fighting type in my original team, and I would have liked to. There's a couple of times where I'm like, man, stab close combat would really rip through my opponent here. So giving me a fighting type, including one that could Terra, gives me another type to the team that I didn't previously have. You're only able to acquire 4 mons after dropping them, but it's okay because these guys fit my point value. That's why I said, you know, I was able to reassign my points a little bit and get it to work after dropping Pikachu. Overall, I'm a lot happier with this team of 4 compared to the previous team of 4. And I think we're going to be putting in a lot of work with these guys. I think they're going to have a pretty immediate impact to the team, and I think they're going to force a lot more prep with the sheer power of, well, sheer force Landorus. The bulk that these two provide, Spore now forces Safety Goggles. Defiant on this means webs are decentivized. I just think that these guys force a lot more prep than the other guys, and I think I can bring them more weak, so therefore vary my team a little more, which is nice because it means that I'm able to be a little more unpredictable and cover more stuff for more different matchups. I am excited for these new 4. So yeah, once again, now that we're all done, make sure to leave a comment saying which of my guys you're going to miss the most and which of my new team members that you are excited to see coming in week 3. So this week I will be able to use them, and every week going forward. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe. My name is Not Quite Cause, and I'll see you in the next one.